Okay, Italian 10.4 by 47 millimeter rimmed ammunition. In my quest to figure out how to reload and try to make some sort of ammunition, replicant ammunition, to go out and shoot these old rifles safely and fairly well accurately. It's like with any other one, it's the research. And with my recent purchase of some original rounds of ammo, we are going to disassemble this and then go over and try to get as much concise information that we need to go on. Right now, this afternoon, I've been sitting here going through books, sorting out things. The books I'm using is this one here, The Italian Vetterli. I did a review on it, very good book. And our old favorite, Cartridges of the World, which what we go to when we try to get specifications in that. Part of the problem is these guns, when they were the single shot version, and we're talking about the Vetterli, it would be the M70, 1870 rifle, which was a single shot. Well, then it came out, they modified them, and you have the M70/87, and a new cartridge was designed for it, the M1890 ball cartridge, okay, which, by the way, was a smokeless powder round, or it used that ballistite, I'm going to say. The Italians, I guess the French, developed the smokeless powder first, a nitrocellulite base. Well, the Italians were trying to catch up, and they were going with Nobel, and they were making a nitroglycerin-based powder or something, and that's why, like, the early Carcanos had the gain twist rifling, because I guess whenever you make a smokeless powder out of basically an explosive, it didn't go on too long, but it was done, and I guess that that is what is in here, a smokeless powder with a nitroglycerin base. So it's kind of interesting. So the biggest problem is, okay, forming the brass ain't that hard. You can get dies, you can make brass like this, okay, and get something to work. It's finding a bullet and figuring out what to use, because the older ammo had a different style bullet. This newer ammo has a style bullet, and I'm going to go over exactly what the weights are, and I was wrong, because going with Cartridges of the World, going on different forums and listening to people, sometimes they don't have it exactly right, and I'll go over that as we go through all the information I've just accumulated today. So the first thing we're going to do is going to look at what I got here on the table, and then we're going to pull one of these cartridges apart and look at what it is. Then I'm going to go and take all the measurements and tell you where I'm off about bullet weights, which I'm really off on, and other things. So I'm going to take a kinetic bullet puller. I'm going to drop one of these things in there, pop it down, and I'm going to get it all set up with scales and everything else. Okay, well, here are the 8 rounds out of the box. Now I noticed when I took them out, most of them were tarnished like this, the bullet net, but yet there were a couple in the back, when I pulled them out, they were like this. So I said, what is that? So it must be 3 rounds were never removed from the box, and these other 4 somebody pawed and they tarnished. So I took this and went and hit it with steel wool on the lathe, and I guess that's probably what the cartridges would have looked like brand new out of the factory. That tone there, a tone of it, that is polished. But laying next to these here, that's what I was wondering, why is this bullet that color? I guess that's the color they would have looked when they were brand new. So, like I said, this stuff here is the ballisticite ammunition. I guess it's called the 1890 ball cartridge, okay, is what this is. All right, and it came in its box, and it shows the box in the book and that. So this is the correct stuff, and there's 8 rounds in the box. So now that we got a look at the ammo, I'm going to go and pull one apart, and we'll start looking at the components in that up. All right, this kind of did not go the way I wanted to, but there's our case. Now I'm going to pour out the powder. Cotton wad and a bullet. Trying not to spill it. There is a cotton wad which is over the powder. Underneath the base of this bullet. Zoom in the look here. There's our powder. Very interesting looking powder. Like I said, there was a cotton overwad, and I believe all of it is out of the case. And that's our bullet, which is really unusual. There's a sharp lip and that on there. All right, so first things first. Let's find out how much powder we had in the case. I had the scale set at 0, and I believe something like 37 is what the book says. So we'll go 30, 35, 40. Yeah. It's looking more like about 38. And 2/10 of a grain of the powder. Okay. And we got the little wad. We'll set that aside. Now, as for the bullet weight, now I was told 246 grains. Let's take a look. It's more like 250 grains. Now the bullet I was using to replicate this, or the one I thought, I was using a 330 grain bullet, which is similar but much heavier. And I do have an older heeled bullet, which I was trying to replicate the original ammo, which comes out to about 295 grains or 300, where this one is listed as 310. So let's move on, and I'll try to get a better look at the components. All right, here's a close-up of the components. You got the case, you got that nitroglycerin-based powder, which is kind of brownish, and this stuff's cut into little square chunks. It's like little blocks. It's kind of odd. Then there was the, is that wool or cotton? Not quite sure. There was a wad over this, and then this bullet, which this bullet is extremely odd. Most of the ones, see, it's going to roll there no matter what I do. Most of the ones I seen look like a solid base, but there's an actual lip here in this bullet. Very strange. And like I said, about a 250 grain weight to it, which 247. Yeah, that's about correct. That's what they say it is. Very unusual. Well, let me get some measurements on the bullet here, but that's what we got. That's our disassembled case. Okay, the great bullet mystery. I'm going to use the end of this. What I found with the bullet I pulled off is this lower diameter here. It was in the case. That would be this here, which I was trying to draw. That is 408 thousandths in diameter. And it comes up to this pretty sharp edge. And getting the calipers of the mics right on the edge there comes out to 430. Okay, and then right above the top of this is 405 right there, and then it tapers. Okay, and like I said, it's only weighing about 250 grains, and that is a lead core bullet. Okay, if you look at this, it has a lead core in there. This thing likes to roll a lot, so there. Now, I went to Accurate Bullet Molds, and somebody tried making something similar. Because this is a bullet I had, this is healed. You got a grease groove down here. And this section before, and I exaggerate it, because this is that band, you can go to Accurate. I've discussed this. This is 407, very close to what this is. Then you have this band here. And this band I sized to 430, and then right immediately in front of the band where there's two more grease grooves is 414 thousandths, and then it tapers to the bullet. So the 414 is this area in through here. So that is one custom bullet mold I had made, and when I shot these in the carbine, I didn't get good results with these bullets. Very, very inaccurate. I was assuming with these original cartridges that this was straight all the way down and then tapered up front, not with this weird shoulder. This is more of just a variation of this here, okay, in a lighter bullet. These are supposedly 313 with the black powder cartridge load, and these are 250 grains. Well, I found something also at Accurate Bullet Molds, and this bullet, the wide parts here at the base, which is 430, here's your two grease grooves, and it comes up to this point here. That's where I kind of crimped it. Then it's kind of angled like this right in the front here, and that's like 417 until it comes down to another diameter here. It's got a weird taper to it. And right about in here it's 410, then it does the shape of the bullet. I've had good luck with this bullet in the 70-87 rifle, and actually it shot low, and actually when I was getting the speed up it was shooting right on. Well, that probably the fact that this bullet is 100 grains heavier than what it should be changes the point of impact on the sights. So now I have a question: should I go and get a lighter 250 grain bullet to match what come out of there? Or should I leave this 100 grain, this is 250, this is 350. Should I leave the heavier bullet and make something that'll shoot sights with the sights as is without having to worry about it? I wonder. So that's the breakdown of the bullets, bullet diameters, and that. So once again, the original bullet, this lower base here is 408 thousandths. It comes to this weird angled flange like this, which that flange goes out to 430, reminiscent of the old lead bullet, and then 405, whatever. But this bullet is way lighter. What's confusing is when using Cartridges of the World, he lists a reload, 250 grain lead bullet, and then he lists black powder military load, 313 grain bullet, which is confusing. They went to a lighter bullet when they went to smokeless powder. All right, let's go over case measurements. Now, here we have cartridges of the world, and I have all their measurements out of the thing in the back of the book. Here's the original ammo in the second column. Some of them I haven't done. And here is my ammo that I make from the 8mm Lebel in the last column. Call that Coba's ammo. So bullet diameter 430, we established we're all using somewhere on that bullet. The largest diameter is 430. Neck diameter, because if I use the 430 bullet, that would probably come out to 454, where these are 438. But if I use my heeled bullet, which will press right into this case, then my neck diameter is 435. Let me check it. 437. So the neck diameter of the raw case, 0.437 is correct. So all of them, that's a correct measurement. Shoulder diameter, 517, 517. See, that's hard to measure. This is really tapered on both of them. But I checked them and measured them, and I can see where it comes out to 517 on both cases. So that's correct. Now, base diameter. Cartridges of the World has 540 thousandths, but I got 536 on both of my cartridges, first with the original. And what I do is just get it to where it's like at that point, and it's 536. Same with my case. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there, okay? And the 8mm Lebel is extremely close in the cartridge to use. I've tried doing it with the 50 Alaskan, but you'd have to turn this base diameter back. So 8mm Lebel is the way to go as a parent cartridge. Okay, rim thickness. Now this is saying 58 thousandths. And if you notice on this, this has a heavy chamfer on the back. Now I think the bolt's kind of flat, so this is on there for like the extractor to easily snap over more than having something like that. Like this flat base works fine, but even the later ammunition in the book, it shows they got rid of that chamfer. So that was just something put on there from the times. Now, to measure this, okay, you can't just go with the calipers and measure it here like this, because you hit that chamfer and you don't get a correct measurement. So probably the best way to do this, and we'll draw back a little on this, is to take the bullet puller. Now this face probably isn't flat whatsoever, but it's close enough. Put this in, take a measurement like this on the face of the tube to the back of the case, try to get it flat, and it's coming out of a rim thickness of about 65 thousandths for the original case. Now that's not very accurate, but it's more. They're saying 58. And for the Lebel, that's even more, like 68 thousandths. So let me write them down. Try that original one again. See what I get. Huh? 68. So Cartridges of the World is off a little on the rim thickness. We're thicker here. Now, case length. This one says 1 inch 870. We'll take the original. And they were probably doing it, it's 10 thousandths less. They were probably doing it on the outside, but the case length is 1 inch 860 thousandths. And mine are 1 inch 835. I cut them a little on the short side. Okay. So there we have that. The book lists at 1/870. We're getting 1/860 right on the nose. I'm undersized on mine. Now, cartridge length. This is what's confusing. You have several different cartridges. Which one were they measuring? Okay, the overall cartridge length for this comes out to 2 inch 494. Actually, it's 2 inch 500 because I checked out of the 8 of them. Most of them hover within a thousandths of 2 inch 500 thousandths. Okay, they're saying that it's 2 inch 460, which is way down here. So that's almost 40 thousandths less. This measurement isn't quite correct. So we can change that because it's like 94, and one of these I think was 2 inch 506 or something. So I'm going to average that out to 2 inch 500. All right. On the overall length. Now, with my brass, A being undersized, it's 230. If I put the healed bullet on there, like that, and just press it in, a healed bullet, not the other one, comes out almost to the length of 2.5 inches. It's actually that 95, 94 is what the actual ammo is. So somebody went to the trouble to have accurate molds make this healed bullet, which is pretty much close and correct. Okay, I went with something else off the wall. I can't remember what my length is on these. I'll take a guesstimate because that's way bigger and I'll have to open up the brass, but just a guesstimate. Yeah, it was like 2 inch 540 or something was what my so with this other bullet, it's over 2.5 inches by about 40 thousandths or so. But this other one, by Accurate Bullet Molds, the healed bullet, this one comes out dead on. So somebody calculated this and had him make that mold. I just ordered it. So that's where our case dimensions are. Okay, the cartridges of the world is slightly off. So now I got a good example. And these things look, they got a balloon head in there. But I don't know if they're center fire. But anyway, that's my analysis for our cartridge. And, you know, these dimensions, and you should be able to freeze this and be able to get the dimensions all right. So that way you have a reference that you can come back to. That's kind of why I make these videos. And that's what I found so far. So I was on the right track. Hold on a second. So like I was saying, basically I was kind of on the right track, but I was off on bullet weights and shapes. Okay, I should be looking for a lighter bullet for that 7087 rifle. So I may look into that, but like I said, with that heavier bullet, I was getting such good results, and the sights were right on, and that's why I'm using a 100 grain heavier bullet. Okay. I may do some research when I get time, and also I like to take a minute. I like to thank people. I've mentioned that, you know, in doing these projects and doing this work, I could use support, and I've gotten support from several people, and I'd like to thank you all. Patreon and just donations to help defer the cost of all this stuff so I can investigate it more. It's helping me out a lot, and you know, now I can get into, I'm doing a lot more things. I know not so much with the antique guns, but you know, there are a lot of people that have other different types of weapons in demand, but now we're kind of getting back into this again. So I'd like to say thanks, and we're going to start working on this, and these guns also that's in the lineup. When exactly I'll get around to it, I'm not quite sure, but once again, I'd like to thank all my subscribers and supporters for their help.